Hello friends. Today I am here with one another video regarding the centrifugal pump overhauling. In this video, I am going to discuss the complete detail of overhauling procedure, inspection procedure, and detail of the mm, mechanical seal, pictorial diagram of it, and the maintenance intervals, what all checks you have to do. All these things I'm going to discuss in this video. Removal of pump for inspection and maintenance. So because when we have to do the maintenance of the centrifugal pump, so we have to, because it is attached with the motor, so the pump and motor, this has to be dismantled. So what all the procedures we have to follow step by step, I'm going to tell you now. So here you can see the part that we have to first do the isolation of the electric circuit breaker from the main switchboard, and then we have to attach a warning notice also: do not operate main network. Not only this, the duty engineer also must be informed, and the electrical officer will also fill up the electrical isolation permit checklist and must be signed by the chief engineer. Okay, so that part is over. Next, we have to switch off and lock the pump supply at the local supply panel. So at the local part, we have the local supply panel. We have to switch off and lock it. Attach a warning notice to the pump local supply panel also, same, that do not operate main network, because sometimes it's happened that by mistake in the locally somebody tries to do that. But anyway, the MSB breaker is off. Then close suction and discharge valve. That is also very important. We have to do this. Then chain and lock hand wheels. So it's better to lock these valves. So when you open the pump accidentally also, there is no chance of seawater coming out or the fresh water coming out, or whatever the pump type it is, the water will come out or the oil will come out as required. So no need of spillage. Now open the pump suction and discharge pipe drain valves. So we have to make sure that these pipelines are drained properly to the bilge, and when the water ceases to flow, crack open the pipes. Okay, so first of all, we make sure that there is no water inside, and then we will see no water coming. It ceases, though. Then we try to open the pipes and crack open and see that the pump flange joints carefully detached, or we have to ensure that pump is completely drained off and it is now fully safe for the opening. Okay, so by ensuring this, we can go for the opening part. As we have already ensured that no water is coming out, it is safer to open the pump. Then what we will do, we will fix a shackle to lifting pad I above the pump. So we'll see that perfect size. But before that, we have to make sure that the grooves which are there, it should be clear, and the eye bolt should fit properly. And hang the chain block, ensuring the safe working limit of the block, sling and the shackles are satisfactory. Of course, when we are going to do the lifting part of it, or any heavy object lifting, then we have to ensure that the safe working limit of that chain blocks, ceilings, and shackles are capable of lifting that object. So that should be satisfactory. Ensuring the center punch to match or mark coupling and casing. So because the before removing the coupling bolts, we have to create a punch mark so that when we are going to do the assembling of this, it is easy for us. We have to just match the mark. Now next, disconnect or fix any ID tag and remove the motor supply cables. So the supplying cables, we have to tag it down where it is what, or it's better to nowadays what they do, they take photograph, and tagging also is being done, marking also done, and taping over the bare ends with insulating tape. So these cables must be taped down. Okay. Connect shackle and sling to motor eye bolt. Again, before fixing the eye bolt, we have to do the cleaning of it, and then make sure that eye bolt fixes correctly, and lift the motor clear of the pump using the overhead chain block which we have fixed earlier. Then what we have to do, we have to lay the motor on its side of the arms way and protecting the machine surface of both pump and the motor coupling halves against the damage. Because when we are doing the lifting part of it or putting the motor or the pump away, so we have to make sure that the machine parts should not get hurt or means damaged. So we have to put some supporting thing like cardboard and masking tape to mark that and protect that thing. Okay. Now disconnect all external fittings from the pump casing, like your cooling pipe, the pressure gauge, the oil reservoir, or the air cocks, like your purging cocks and all. So whatever the external fittings we have to remove. Now remove bolting from the top cover and remove the cover. So as these things are being attached, so now the purpose of removal of the cover. Scrape off the old gasket and check the mating surface. So if the gasket is there, so what happened? You have to clean that surfaces thoroughly. There should not be any cut mark or anything. Make sure that this machine surface should be perfectly clean, and the renewal of gasket at the time of assembly which is required. So when we are going to put the new gasket, we will put little bit of grease on the gasket faces so that it will stick to it. The pump shaft with impeller can lifted out of the casing. Now everything is done. Now the removal of the pump shaft with impeller have to be done. And on the cardboard which was there arranged earlier on, we have to put on that. Okay. Dismantle the impeller and remove the wear rings. So that also is very important. And then the gland packings, we have to remove and discard all the packings. And at the time of assembly, we have to rebuild, means we have to put the new gland packings if it is that, or the mechanical seal. Then we have to see the condition of mechanical seal, and then we have to replace it as required, or we have to put it the same by doing the proper cleaning of the faces. Note: remember to cut the ends of packing at 45 degree and stagger the joints when repacking the gland. So if the gland packing is there, this is a very important marine engineering practice, that uh, when we are cutting the packing, it should be at 45 degree, and when we are fitting the gland packings, it should be staggered so that the leakage will be perfectly stopped after the tightening of the gland packing. So these things we have to do when we are doing the replacement of gland packings. Now we are going to see the pump details as visualized in the diagram. You can see here, I will show you it with the little pointer. Yes. You can see here, this is your horizontal type of the centrifugal pump, and this is your vertical type of the centrifugal pump. This is your motor part, and this is the pump part. You can see here the suction part is there. Okay, and here is this suction part, and this is your discharge part. So you can see that the impeller, as you can see, this is the impeller, and wear rings which is being provided here on the impeller part. And this is your volute casing completely, this volute casing, and here you have the pumking which is being provided, which prevents the leak. And when we see about the pump end bearing, this is your pump end bearing, and You can see the stator winding. This completes your motor part. So stator winding is this. You have the stator winding, and this is your rotor windings. So it basically provides the good health of the motor. And when we check the insulation resistance, the strength of this windings has to be checked. And as you can see, this is your complete electric motor. Okay, and here the junctions which where the cable is being connected. Okay. Here we have some of the detail. I have taken it from the manual. Actually, I was having planning to show you the complete part by part detail of the centrifugal pump. But in this video, it is like this only. So we will see how the things goes on. In the next or the other coming video, I will try to do that. Okay. You can see here main seawater cooling pump. Required number per ships 3 sets. Classification society is RENA. The model of the pump is SVS 250M. Okay. Capacity 500 meter cube per hour. Total head 2.5 bar. Suction head nothing given. Pump liquid is seawater. So it is designed to pump the seawater. Liquid temperature approximately 32 degrees centigrade. Rotation clockwise view from the coupling side. Okay. Hydraulic test of this is being done at 6.5 bar. Okay. So this is the flanges suction and discharge description. Motor output 45 kilowatt motor is being attached with this pump and speed is 1800 rpm. Electric source 440 volt 3 phase 60 hertz supply. Casing, the material used for casing is bronze and impeller is this stainless steel. Impeller shaft stainless steel, mouth ring bronze and sleeve is stainless steel. And this is the painting detail. This is the paint type. Okay. Now we have some of the inspection procedures also for pump. What all things we see. Now it is completely dismantled. So what all things we will see when we have to do the inspection of the pump. Impeller, of course, pump shaft, internal volute casing can now be inspected for erosion, pitting and wear. So this is the very important part. We have to see these parts for the possible chances of erosion, pitting marks and wear down. Of course, we have to take the clearances also afterwards, but this is the first visual inspection we have to carry out. If required, rectify pitting or erosion in the impeller and casing with epoxy putty. So if it is there, you can do that. The building up part of it, filling up. Check main driving shaft bearing and thrust bearing for wear and replace if required. So bearing conditions also has to be checked, or if you open this pump due to some noise, bearing noise and all, then the replacement or as per the PMS if it is required must do it. Check wear ring clearance using the filler gauges. At the earlier time at my day at sea it was general practice to replace with the new rings at major overhaul. So when major overhaul was due, so at that time these parts to be replaced. Now checking the impeller and the shaft key. It is very important. The impeller which is attached with the shaft key and keyways for the damages and undue wear. Unscrew the impeller shaft, securing nut and check the threads that are in satisfactory conditions. So because we have to make sure that when we are overhauling after so much of running hours, we have to make sure that these small things to be carefully inspected. And if anything is there, must be repair is required or the replacement is required. Whatever is required must be done. So impeller and shaft keyways are also very important. Keys are also very important. We have to inspect for the damages. Or when we talk about the impeller shaft securing nut threads and that threads on the shaft, that also has to be checked thoroughly. And when we are going to do the retightening, we have to use the torque spanners and whatever is the manual suggesting the required setting of the torques, that we have to do it. Give all parts a good cleaning, removal any dirt, any other medium residue before reassembly using the new parts as required. So, of course, because it gives you a very ease in assembling of that. And these small things, that removal of any dirt, removal of any other scale deposits on all this, as these are the water pump. If it is a fresh water pump, you will found the deposits also. So these cleanings will improve the pump efficiency also, and it gives a very ease for assembling. Everything will match properly. And when these things are being done, then the assembly procedure, whatever is required, we will do as per the manufacturer's guideline. Okay, now enter the date of overhauling and whatever the parts renewed in the pump maintenance record card. And in the PMS also, the class approved PMS, we have the history. So we have to fill up the details completely, because it is used as a reference when the next major overhaul is due. The people who are there on board, they can refer to this. Must attach some of the photographs that will give a clear idea that how the condition of pump and the internal parts was there at that time. And of course, some of the clearances detail also. So if you are replacing the parts, must enter in the history of the part number also. So these things are very handy and useful for maintaining the vessel records regarding any equipment and machinery. Let it be for pump also. So we have to keep in mind. Now the motor part, the driving motor part. So we have to grip the motor drive shaft coupling firmly and check for the excess axial and longitudinal movement. If it is there, then we have to think of, and then it must be adjusted. Rotate the shaft at a speed by hand and allowing it to run to a stop. And then at that time, you must listen for any excessive noise from the bearings. And when the pump was running also, then also you have the possibility you can hear the bearing noise if you have found any abnormality. Any doubt in either counts, the bearing should be replaced. So it's better to check earlier also when the pump was running that time. And if any abnormal noise coming from the bearing ends, then must inspect the bearing condition and if needed, replace it. Condition of the motor windings to ensure no dampness is present. So mega testing anyway, the mega testing has to be completed for all the engine room motors within the 3 monthly routine. So anyway, before opening that any pump motor, mega testing is being required. Present condition of the winding should be in good condition. It gives you the indication of that. Any suspect reading indicating a full motor to be stripped down, and check the condition of rotor and stator. So rotor stator winding has to be checked if need overhauling or the varnishing or the heating up, improving the insulation condition. All these things are to be done. If these checks are satisfactory, then of course, if required, the greasing of the bearings, then it has to be done. Make sure that if greasing to be done, no over greasing to be done. But very important. And if the bearings are of jet type, that means both sides sealed, then this greasing and all is not required. So anyway, if you see the pump, this motor side or the pump side, if the greasing nipples are being attached, that means the bearing required greasing. Otherwise, once you open that, you can see that it is a seal type, then it does not require. It have the greasing with itself. So see that one and accordingly do it. Now, if everything is being checked and overhauling is done perfectly, then after complete assembly of the system, in this video, I'm not telling you about the complete assembly part of it in some other video. But once it is done, assembled as per the manufacturer guideline, then what is the procedure to start up the pump? So first of all, unlock and remove the chains from the inlet outlet valves wheel and then open both the valves full. Then what will happen? The water will gusses to the pump casing and all. Open the air cock and expel the air from the line and the pump while checking for any leaks. So sometimes what we do, the discharge valve we also close, and the inlet valve we allow it to completely fill up and then purge that part, purge the air completely. Okay, and discharge valve also we open and then finally remove all the air which is being trapped. Turn the shaft coupling and ensure that shaft is free to rotate. We have to make sure that there is no obstruction, no hindrances. It is perfect, easily, smoothly rotating. Then reconnect the motor. Remove danger notices from the pump power supplies and reinstate the breakers. Reconnect After reconnecting means the cable connections as per the circuit diagram or as per the photograph we have taken. We have tagged also the wires, and we must reconnect in the same fashion which was earlier, and then bolt it and cover the part. And after removing the notices of men at work, then breaker must be on from the MSB and the local panel. And then what we have to do, we have to start it, and one person must be over there, especially the electrical officer, for the restarting time, and make sure that whatever the current which is drawn by the motor, it is within the well satisfactory range, or whatever it was taking earlier. So, or maybe reduced, because after overhauling it should be reduced. So motor under starting and running conditions, both the current drawn has to be checked and must be recorded there. Then of course the suction discharge pressure and other parameters, any abnormal noise sound also has to be recorded. Now, as we have completed already the starting procedure of all, and this is something which is a standard clearance and limit. The bigger the clearance between impeller and the mouth ring, then more the counter flow from the discharge side to suction side becomes, and consequently the pump capacity decreases. The efficiency also goes down. So in general, the pump capacity decreases by 15 to 20% at the clearance of the limit. So when the limit crosses, then approximately 15 to 20% capacity decreases, efficiency decreases. And compared with the clearance of the new pump, this is the part. And if the quantity of the counterflow is different at various discharge pressures, furthermore, increasing of the clearance between sleeve and the line bearing makes the vibration and more leakage from the stuffing box. So if there is a clearance more, whatever is given by the manufacturer between the sleeve and the line bearings, then the vibration is more. Damage of the seizure caused by impeller contacting with mouth ring is being expected, so that the parts are necessary to be replaced. So that's why the clearances are being provided, so that we must check it and it should be well within the limit. Now I am going to show you the parts and the clearances as per the manual. Okay, this is one of the model. Here, impeller and mouth ring. You can see the impeller part and the mouth ring part. The clearance zone is A. Model is SVA 500X and 600X. New part standard clearance, that A is limit is 0.5 mm. Unit is mm. And here limit use is 2 mm. So maximum allowed is 2. So it has to be well within 2. If it reaches nearby that, then must be replaced. Sleeve and line bearing. Here it is also the clearance showing A. This sleeve and line bearing. Okay. 0.9. This is your 0.9 clearance, and maximum allowed is zero point 0.9, means 10 times of that. So if it is well within the limit, okay, otherwise needs replacement. And floating seat of the mechanical seal. Here is the width which is given B. So The standard part, new part, it is 16, and limit of use is 13. If it reduced 13. So in that scenario, we have to take the clearances on time and actions to be taken as per the readings. And these readings must be recorded while doing the overhauling of the pump. Okay. Now this is the maintenance checklist. Some of the maintenances as required. So first column is your item, what needs to be checked. What is the inspection procedure? That is there in second column. And third column is the remedy in case of trouble. I will try to make one video on troubleshooting part also afterwards. Suction pressure. Check every day if there is no abnormal pressure drop and take the record. So anyway, when we are doing the watch keeping, we do the measurement of that and we know that how much is the suction and discharge pressure. If it is there, then stop the pump immediately and check the suction line. What is the problem if it drops? Bearing temperature. With the infrared guns, we are checking it. Check and record every 3 days. In case of the ambient temperature plus 40 degree, stop the pump and eliminate the cause. Ambient temperature plus 40 is a standard thumb rule. Greasing. Renew the grease every 6000 hour or supply every 3000 hour. If it is, I told you the grease nipples, then the greasing is required. When deteriorations occur earlier, confirm if a specified grease is used. So in that one, it is very, very important to see the manual and accordingly the grease which is recommended, you must use that. Then the lubricating oil, if the oil pots are there. Check oil level by oil level gauge weekly. Otherwise, renew every 3000 hours. Must check the oil the pipeline which is attached with the oil pot, it should be clean and clear. The oil must go. Supply oil if level is low, and if required when renewing oil, the stop we have to stop the pumps. Of course, the pump has to be stopped and then the oil has to be replaced. The line check that it has to be clear. Ball bearing part. Check for abnormal noise once a month. Of course, we have the long rod with the help of which we can check the ball bearing sound. Any abnormal noise occur and besides there is a heating, stop the pump, eliminate the cause and renew the ball bearing if necessary. So we have to keep this one in mind. Now about the stuffing box seal. If there is a leakage, heating, abnormal noise every 3 days. So stuffing box seal 3 days. Stop the pump immediately and remove the cause. Line bearing. Check for heating in pertinent part. So if heating is there or vibration is there in the whole pump, heating in ball bearing every 3 days. So every 3 days we have seen if the heating or abnormal noise comes. Then in that case, stop the pump and check if the lubricating water is passing and if the line bearing clearance has become too greater. So clearance check is being required and the lubricating water which is passing and cooling and lubricating that also must be noticed. Vibrations. Check for vibration once a week. Any alignment, misalignment, line bearing clearance that also has to be checked. Cooling water part. Make sure whether cooling water is supplied and water temperature is not abnormal in every 2 days. So cooling water which is going to cool the thing. So you must check that the water temperature should be normal. If it is abnormal, then stop the pump and check the cooling water pipeline for correct flow. Amount of water which is going, it is to be correct, or if it is completely choked, so that also must be checked. Zinc anode condition. This is for the corrosion part. Check the zinc anode every 2 to 3 months. They are saying refer to item 7 for the interval. Okay, so basically the replacement of the zinc anode whenever the major overhauling, opening of the pump and all. So if zinc anodes are there, then we have to see that and replace with the spare when consumed. So whenever the A spare replacement is required. You check the condition and then it must be replaced. So zinc anode is also one of the part which has to be checked on the major overhauling part. Here is the mechanical seal detail. This is the diagram just I have attached for the reference, and you can see the parts. So 22 a sleeve material also given stainless steel. These things are very very important when you are going to give exam for the marine engineering practice. So the material used floating sheet carbon made up of carbon, packing ring of rubber, packing it is gasket, seal ring is stainless steel, packing ring rubber, spring stainless steel, a stopper ring and set screw stainless steel, cover is bronze. So you can see refer 54.1, you can see here 54.1 located here, 54.2 it is located here, and 54.3 that is your packing. So this is your 54.3. This is the packing provided between these two spaces. And then 54.5 packing ring again. So you can see that this is the 54.5 packing ring again. 54.6 this is the spring basically 54.6, and 54.7 is stopper ring. This is the stopper ring last one, and 146 is your cover. 146 is your completely cover, and 22A is your sleeve part. So this is the detail of the mechanical seal which is fitted. Nowadays the gland packing story is the old story. So this detail and the material for the different parts of the mechanical seal is provided here. Now I hope whatever I have discussed with you is going to help you and make you guys understand how the centrifugal pump overhauling is being done, what are the various parts of the mechanical seal and the material for the various parts utilized, and the maintenance, what all checks to be done for the various parts of a pump, that also I have described over here. So I hope this is a useful video and it helps you in understanding of the overhauling of centrifugal pump so that you can uh, give answer with full confidence. Okay, so thank you all of you. I will come with another video related to the pumps maintenance checks or troubleshootings. Thank you.